Now, time for the very latest from the eNCA's Money Desk. Devin Murugan is on standby. So, Devin, Russian and Ukraine conflict is still top of the agenda currently, dominating news.
It certainly is. So the JSE has reached record highs, and that's despite its global peers being weaker as the war in the Ukraine and over Russia, the Russia conflict, continues to dominate headlines. As you say, resource and mining stocks have pushed the all-share higher, so the local market not doing too bad. But at the same time, Brent crude is sitting at a 7-year high, $110. Gold is at record levels as investors flock to the yellow metal as a safe asset. You can't say the same thing for where the economy is going because there are concerns over there. They're really two separate entities, the JSE and stocks versus the economy. I want to talk more about that with Wayne McCurrie from FNB Wealth and Investments. Wayne, thanks very much indeed for joining us. So, you know, we have this oil price, and I suppose that's the big story at the moment, the $110 per barrel. There are concerns about costs that really could go up because of this in the future months. What's your take now with where oil is going as this conflict intensifies, and what are the inflationary concerns here?
Well, Devin, I think you summarized it perfectly. You know, for the economy, this is bad news because inflation will go up. I mean, it's going to cost you, if oil stays where it is, another extra rand per litre in a month's time after a big increase last night. And more importantly, it puts pressure on the Reserve Bank to increase interest rates more than what they would have. And anyone knows increasing interest rates is not good for the economy. But as I've said, well, as you said, in fact, it's good for the share market because the mining shares are going up. So all the platinum shares are running, the gold shares are running, and Sasol's running. I mean, Sasol's almost 400 Rand again.
Yeah, it's amazing to look at this disconnect. But let's talk about the companies and the reaction to this war. Wayne, I was looking at Barloworld. Here's a company that deals with mining equipment and big resource machinery around mining. They've plunged, around about 15%. Because of that conflict in Russia. I mean, again, here's a consequence of a company that really can see some consequences because of this conflict.
Yes, and we've seen a couple of it. I mean, they have, Barloworld has a very big Russian exposure. They did come out with a statement saying that there's no excess cash or assets in the business. The business is self-standing. It's got sufficient reserves to keep going by itself. And also all of their customers pay them via the Russian banking system and not via SWIFT. So they're not affected by Russian banks being taken off SWIFT. But I think justifiably so, the market has pushed them down because business in Russia can't be the same as it was a few weeks ago. There's got to be a write-down. And you see the same with Mondi. Also, they've got far smaller Russian exposure, but they still have Russian exposure, so that share price is down. And then even, you know, Richemont with exposure, although relatively small, to the luxury goods market is also down. And there's a couple more shares like that. So if you've got anything to do with Russia, you know, the whole world just about has turned against you, and you are going to have to come up with a statement and saying that we're moving out or we're closing down or we're doing something, because it'll be unacceptable to carry on with business with Russia going forward if the current situation doesn't change.
Wayne, two more questions I want to throw at you. The first being this overnight news that we've seen with investment company PSG. Now, they're pulling out of the JSE. Over the last, 3 or 4 years, we've seen companies delist from the JSE. And there's been concerns about, what exactly is happening here. I mean, how concerned should we be about companies delisting? And does it reflect anything beyond just the delisting here?
Look, I don't. It's actually quite frankly good news, because all of the owners of the companies that are delisting think that their companies are worth significantly more than what the market's giving them credit for. Or when overseas people come and buy South African companies, they think it's cheap enough and they think our prospects are good enough to actually justify the capital investment. Now, PSG is a slightly different scenario in that it's a holding company, so it held shares in a number of entities, both listed and unlisted. And when you work out what price they should be trading at, they were trading at, call it 20% lower than that. So PSG said, all the businesses we got now, with the possible exception of Stadio, are standalone businesses. They don't need us as a big brother or a father anymore, or a parent. We are just going to unbundle them. We are going to hand it out to our shareholders. And by that, we are going to unlock value. Then we're going back to our core. Our core is start-up businesses that need capital, that need our capacity, that need our knowledge, intelligence, experience. And that's what they're going to do. And there's no good being listed doing that, because simply you've got these big discounts to your share price. So one of the big reasons why you listed is to raise equity, but no company is going to raise equity if they think the share price is trading well below what they deem to be the fair value.
I'm going to come in here just for the last point, a few seconds left, Wayne. Are investors and brokers like yourself watching what's been happening with the state capture reports? We've got the third one just released, some big political names mentioned in there for being pursued investigations-wise. And then you have businesses saying, well, we've got to see orange overalls for us to make investments here. How significant are these reports coming out for investment in the country?
The truth of the matter is we all knew this. So although this might put details and put potential charges against politicians, this was common knowledge. So they're not actually coming out with anything new, although obviously the release of the report is very positive, and we certainly hope that there will be consequences and legal actions coming out of this, but we all know how long that takes. So in other words, it's published, it's done, it happened, it was a good thing. But it's not as though the business and citizens didn't know this was already happening. So by and large, the physical release of the report is more symbolic than anything else.
All right, we'll leave it there. Wayne McCurrie from FNB, thanks very much indeed for those insights on some of those issues.